Welcome back to the second segment of Sold with Updike Pugh. Today I have the distinguished guest, Summer Riggins here, who's going to help me out. Summer, I chose this segment because it works so well for you, and I have to apologize to everybody right now because in my head, I'm going to pull a Dave because it's good. In my head, this title was much funnier because it's supposed to go to the song by Salt and Pepper.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm familiar with that
Let's
band.
talk about Renovating, baby.
Yeah, I think there's too many syllables in there.
God, I tried so hard, and in my head, I was like,
Just too many syllables, but I think everyone understands the reference.
I tried.
Yeah.
I did. I went for it because
A for effort, Weston.
too many espressos. And that morning, I was like, ooh, this is so funny. Ha, ha, ha.
Happens to me all the time.
Wasn't so great. So Summer has actually done renovations. And when I first met Summer, we were over at some friend's house having dinner, and we were talking, and she shared with me that she was in the process of having a house on the market in East Dallas.
That's right.
And said, oh, you should go see it. We have an open house, and this is Saturday night. She's like, you should go see it. It's going to be open on Sunday. Well, don't you know, I trotted over there bright and early on
So
Sunday to
sweet
go
of
take a
you.
look at it.
And I knew you were there because my business partner texted me that two very bulky, nice-looking men had showed up to view the home.
Well, that is very sweet of Vaughn. I
Yeah,
really appreciate
yep,
that.
yep.
But it was great because when we walked in, because we see renovations all the time and we see them bad. And I don't think that people get how detailed a renovation can get.
Yes.
And for it to look right, I think that people don't also take into consideration that if it looks cheap or it's done cheap to the eye, agents and buyers begin to think that there's skips
I have
throughout
to
the
agree.
process.
I have to agree with you. And it's funny when I go into homes, in high-end homes, and you see things like light fixtures at an angle, crooked this or that. It really makes you wonder what care and attention has been given to behind what you can see, which is one of the most important aspects of any renovation. It's not just the finish out.
It is not.
That's certainly one aspect of it. It's appealing to buyers, but I think you've alluded to before, it's the plumbing, it's the electrical, it's all of the facets that are really going to make this home a good financial investment for you, and also potentially a good market appeal for if you decide to sell the house. So.
And I think if we kind of like pitch back to the house that we went to on Lakemont, one of the things that you and I noticed is how quality that renovation felt.
There is no doubt.
And I think that even to the point when you and I opened up the pantry and saw that everything was labeled, those are indicators that everything has been
Everything,
done right.
every I has been dotted, every T has been crossed. That's the feeling that you got in that home for sure. And from a renovation standpoint, that is sort of how I try to approach things. And it's hard, but we'll talk more about that. But certainly it's not just what you see as the finished product.
And I think that it's important to talk about renovations because right now the market has become sometimes difficult to find
Certainly.
what is in your area and in your price point. And sometimes you have to shift and maybe buy something that's less than, but it's the right neighborhood.
Yep.
And just know you're going to do
A lot of renovations. Well, and that can apply also to, look, if you're interested in a new home because yours is dated or you need more space, this market doesn't, allow you to purchase what you want. You may stay in your home and try to make it what you want.
That's a great idea. That is great. And so since you've done this, we actually have some of the finished results of your work, and we'll take a look at those as we're going through this. And I'm going to ask just some questions. So number one, do you hire outside help? And outside help would be like a general contractor,
Sure,
an
yep.
architect.
Yep.
Do you find that money well spent?
Oh, without a doubt. And I'll tell you, so as someone who renovates, and it's not my full-time job, I am actually I am employed full-time. This is just a side passion. It's critical for you to find someone, a general contractor, to help you navigate that process for a couple of reasons. You get into permitting and you get into what you need with the city. That's very complicated. And if you don't do it right, could prevent you from selling, in the in the way that you want.
Right.
But also there's a lot of details that, hate to say it, that, need to be attended to as work is being done, that it's just a lot for a layperson to take on themselves. You need the help. And it is money well spent.
And I would say that no matter what, that Dallas will pay top dollar for well-done product.
Without a doubt. That's actually my own personal home. So not the highest quality resolution, but this really, getting help really came into play for my own home. You want to ensure that your home is done perfectly. We redid all of the electrical, all of the plumbing, all of that took the roof off and insulated, all the unfun money that you don't want to spend. We replaced every major system in the event that we needed to sell in a couple of years. We could have that to stand on when it hit the market.
And it is a show-stopping mid-century modern. You guys have done
Yeah, we
such
got
a great
ourselves a
job.
little Jew now.
You do. So one of the other things too is, do you have a process for working through your budget?
Absolutely.
Because I think a budget is the make or break.
Well, it is, and I'm going to tell you, there are two things that you will not be able to stick with during a renovation, and that is the time frame and the budget. So just
Heard it
know
here first.
that you're going to have some flexibility with those two things. But I think many people start with what they desire first, the budgeting, the finish out. We all want to get there. We all want to, have it be lavish and to our standards. But you really have to start your budgeting at the systems that you need to replace. And you can't underestimate. So you need to get good quality, not appraisals, but quotes for the
Bids.
work. Absolutely.
Multiple.
Lots of bids. Spend the time to go through that process. It shouldn't be skipped over. If you're working with a general contractor, they can help to ease that process for you. But the lion's share of your budgeting does need to go to the major systems and things that are going to make your house really credible when it hits the market, if you plan to sell in the next 5 years or so.
I really hope that more renovators are listening to this, because that is such key advice. And so if I take and say, okay, now we've taken, and I call it the heavy lifting, and you're talking about the plumbing, the roofing, the electrical, the foundation. So let's set that aside and said that we've budgeted that and we've got it working. When you look at the renovation, is there something that you say is a splurge that your renos have to have?
Absolutely. And I think, it's with our market right now, and you're going to know this when I say it. When you have that gorgeous quartzite slab on your island, you told me waterfall edges are out. We're going to arm wrestle about it later. But especially, I love a good waterfall edge.
Yep.
That is going to be something that draws the buyer's eye in, not so much the faucet. I know a lot of people can get wrapped around an axle about faucets, light fixtures. Look, quite frankly, that's where you can save some money. I'm not saying to go low end. I just know that there's a highly competitive market for those products. So spend your money on the stone, the flooring, things that are going to stand the test of time.
I agree with that. I would like to add that personally, when I see really well done wood grain cabinets, they sing to my heart, because I feel like that you really only get that a couple of times in a house's lifetime.
I'm going to tell you right now, it was one of our biggest investments for our home. Is I wanted wood cabinets. I wanted them to be of the mid-century sort of aesthetic. And we were able to find a company that finished out the interiors, which is not something you commonly find with custom cabinets.
Right.
Something similar to that. And never not one day have I really been sad about spending that money.
And I love the fact that I'm of the mindset I don't need pulls on my cabinets. As a guy, I feel like they always pull our pockets
Sure.
and rip things. But I feel like a 45, and I saw this a long time ago in Chicago, and you and I talking about, you're like, that's what I did with all my cabinets.
So all my vanities, so I will say all my vanities have 45s, and that was a big debate in our household. The wife didn't necessarily want the 45, but I really like a clean aesthetic, and especially for a mid-century modern. So I do have one pull in my kitchen.
You do?
Yep, I
Is it
have
on the
one
fridge?
pull. It's for the ice maker, and I tell you, I hit my hip on it all the time. All the time.
I have ripped so many pants and shorts from those pulls.
I'm not anti-pull. I just want you to know, if you have pulls in your home, they're fantastic. They can really add to the overall look. For me and the aesthetics that I go with, I really like a clean, modern look.
That is all great information. Last question.
Yes.
Before you pull the trigger and actually purchase the house, what does a pre-renovated house need to have in order for you to say, you're my baby?
Yep. Let's go back to that behind. So everyone walks in and takes what they see at face value. What you're
Got
going to
it.
need to do is really look into the systems,
Yep.
make sure the plumbing is good, the electrical's been replaced if needed, really get into those heavy lifting, the foundation, the electrical, the plumbing. Everything else can be pretty easily switched out in the interior and modified for what you like. Can't buy a house that has bad systems.
I would agree with that. And I think that I always think here in Texas, especially if the house is of a certain age, that sewer lines will be replaced.
Yeah.
And that the HVAC, if it's
Yes.
not new, is going to be replaced.
Yep.
I feel like those are the two. And I was shocked to learn years when I first started that if the foundation is bad, if it's too bad, that it is affecting the actual roof structure. And
Oh,
so-
without a doubt.
So these are things that if you're not new to renovating, you really need to have,
Yeah.
I think, the general contractor
Yeah,
helping.
yeah, you have to really take the emotional aspect of falling in love with a house out of it and make a good business decision about a solid home.
It does. It has to be a business decision before it can be anything
Yep.
else. You have done a great job. I cannot tell you how much fun I have had having you on the show today. Thank you so much. And to show you,
Oh, I
Look.
eyed this. Is this for us? You have no idea how kismet this is. Jill looked at me yesterday and said, I wish I had a king cake. And look, she manifested it. There you are.
it's a little bitty king cake. Don't choke on the baby.
What if she doesn't watch this, I'm eating it myself.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you all so much. Listen, join us again next week, same time. I want to say same bat channel. We loved having you, and thanks so much. And just remember, we're going to be realtors for life.
Thank you.